Close your eyes and imagine waking up not to an alarm clock, but to the sound of waves crashing against wooden hulls in a fog-shrouded fjord. The year is 850 CE. You are not in a comfortable bed, but on a wooden bench in a longhouse where smoke from the central fire curls up through a hole in the thatched roof. This is Scandinavia during the Viking Age, and everything you think you know about Vikings is probably wrong. For over 200 years, from roughly 793 to 1066 CE, the people we call Vikings shaped European history in ways that still echo today. Hollywood shows us bloodthirsty raiders in horned helmets, screaming warriors pillaging defenseless monasteries. But here is the truth. Most Vikings never raided anyone. Most never left Scandinavia. The vast majority were farmers, craftspeople, traders, and explorers who built one of the most sophisticated cultures in medieval Europe. They were poets who composed elaborate sagas, craftsmen who created intricate jewelry, and traders who established routes from Baghdad to North America. The Norse people inhabited the harsh but breathtakingly beautiful lands of what we now call Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. They transformed rocky coastlines and dense forests into thriving communities. They mastered shipbuilding to a degree that wouldn't be matched for centuries. If you were transported to a Viking Age settlement, you would find yourself in a world as complex and nuanced as any civilization of its time. The Viking Age began in 793 CE when Norse raiders attacked the monastery at Lindisfarne off the English coast. The attack shocked Christian Europe, but this single raid has distorted our understanding of an entire civilization that lasted nearly 3 centuries. Scandinavia in the Viking Age was a land of dramatic contrasts. Norway's western coast featured thousands of fjords, deep narrow inlets carved by ancient glacier. Sweden offered vast forests and thousands of lakes, while Denmark's flatter terrain made it the most agriculturally rich of the Norse lands. The climate was harsh. Winters brought months of darkness and bitter cold. Summers offered endless daylight but brief growing seasons. Survival required ingenuity, cooperation, and relentless hard work. The Norse were not a unified nation. Instead, the land was divided into countless small kingdoms, chiefdoms, and independent farming communities. Society was structured in 3 main classes. At the top stood jarls, powerful nobles who controlled large territories. Below them came karls, free farmers, and craftsmen who owned property and had full legal rights. At the bottom were thralls, slaves captured in raids or born into bondage. But unlike medieval Europe, social mobility existed. A karl could become wealthy through trade or raiding and gain influence rivaling a jarl. A thrall could earn or buy freedom. Let us step into a typical Viking settlement and experience life as it actually was lived. Picture a cluster of buildings near a fjord in Norway around 900 CE. The centerpiece is the longhouse, an elongated rectangular structure measuring anywhere from 15 to 75 meters long, built with a wooden frame and a roof thatched with turf for insulation against winter cold. Inside, a single large room runs most of the building's length, with a long fire pit down the center. The fire never completely dies, maintained day and night for cooking, heat, and light. Smoke fills the upper part of the room before escaping through holes in the roof. Along the walls run raised platforms where an extended family of perhaps 20 to 30 people, including grandparents, parents, children, and thralls, all sit, work, eat, and sleep. Privacy barely exists. Your day begins before dawn. If you are a woman, you manage the household, which in Viking society carries significant authority. When men leave on raids or trading voyages lasting months or years, women run entire farms and make all economic decisions. They own property in their own right, can divorce husbands who mistreat them, and participate in religious ceremonies. This represents far more freedom than women enjoyed in Christian Europe. Breakfast is simple but substantial: porridge made from barley or oats, bread baked from coarse flour, cheese, salted or smoked fish, and always beer or mead, because water is often unsafe to drink. If you are a man and a karl, your day depends on the season. In summer, you work your fields, an endless battle against rocky soil and short growing seasons. You grow barley, oats, and rye. You tend cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs. You fish in the fjords or hunt seals. Farming in Scandinavia is not romantic, it's survival. But Vikings are also master craftsmen. Blacksmiths create pattern-welded swords, layering different types of iron to produce blades that are both flexible and strong, weapons so valuable they receive names and feature in poems. Jewelers work silver and gold into intricate brooches and arm rings decorated with knotwork and animal designs. Weavers produce wool cloth of such quality that it becomes a major trade good. A single sail for a longship requires wool from 200 sheep and 2 years of work. Trade is central to Viking life. The Norse are active participants in a vast commercial network. Merchants travel to markets from Dublin to Constantinople. In the great trading center of Birka in Sweden, you can find silk from China, silver from the Middle East, wine from the Rhineland, walrus ivory from the Arctic, and amber from the Baltic. Vikings use silver as currency, weighing pieces on portable scales rather than using coins. Religion permeates every aspect of life. The Norse worship gods led by Odin, the All-Father, god of wisdom and war. Thor, the thunder god and protector of common people. Freya, goddess of love and fertility. You make offerings before voyages, during harvests, at births and deaths. Sacred spaces exist not in grand temples but in natural settings, ancient groves, distinctive rock formations, springs believed to house spirits. Entertainment is crucial in the long dark winters. The community gathers in the longhouse for feasts lasting days. Mead flows freely. Skalds, professional poets, recite elaborate verses recounting heroic deeds of ancestors and gods. These complex sagas are performed from memory, often taking hours to complete. Poetry is a high art form, with strict meter and complex metaphors called kennings. The ocean is whale road, a sword is wound hoe, battle is spear song. Games test skill and strength. Natlika, a brutal ball game resembling violent rugby played on ice. Onifatafel, a strategic board game. Wrestling matches, horse fights, and dice games. Vikings value physical prowess but also cunning, wit, and verbal skill. Law and justice operate through a sophisticated system. The Thing, an assembly of free men, serves as both legislature and court. At the Thing, any free man can bring accusations, present evidence, and argue his case. Judgments are made collectively. The punishment for most crimes is not prison or death but compensation payments in silver. Kill a man, and you must pay his family guild, blood money calculated based on his social status. This system prevents blood feuds from spiraling out of control, though in practice, feuds remain common. Vikings value honor above almost everything, and perceived dishonor demands response. The Viking Age transformed not just Scandinavia but much of Europe. Norse traders and raiders created connections between distant lands. They founded Dublin, established the first Russian state, discovered Iceland and Greenland, and reached North America 5 centuries before Columbus. Their shipbuilding techniques and navigational skills expanded the geographic knowledge of the medieval world. Culturally, their influence persists in unexpected ways. English contains hundreds of words from Old Norse, sky, egg, knife, husband, window, and even the pronouns they, their, and them. Place names across Britain preserve Norse heritage. Any town ending in by, Thorpe, or Thwaite marks Viking settlement. The concept of trial by jury has roots in Thing assemblies. Yet the Viking Age ended not with conquest but conversion. As Christianity spread through Scandinavia in the 10th and 11th centuries, churches replaced sacred groves. The old gods faded into folklore. By 1066, when Norwegian King Harald Hardrada died at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, the classic Viking Age was over. When you visit Norway, Sweden, or Denmark today, echoes of the Viking Age remain visible. The language families. The place names. Archaeological sites revealing longhouses and ships. Museums displaying intricate jewelry. The modern Scandinavian values of egalitarianism, democratic participation, and gender equality have roots, however complex, in Viking Age society. The Vikings were not the noble savages of romantic imagination or the pure evil raiders of medieval chronicles. They were farmers who sometimes raided, traders who sometimes fought, poets who sometimes killed. They lived lives of brutal hardship in an unforgiving environment, yet created art, law, and literature that still resonates. They remind us that history is always more complex than our simple categories allow, and that understanding the past requires looking beyond the dramatic moments to the everyday lives that actually shaped human experience.